And I was wondering, am I going to be an unelect?
Well, the only one who knows who the elect are is God. God's the one who chose certain ones and did not choose others, and we can know if, some things about the elect. We know they're few out of the whole of mankind. It's just a few. In totality, it could number perhaps as many as 200 million. But when you think there's billions of people, that's not many. It's a few out of the whole. And we know that the elect are given a new heart. They have a new heart and a new spirit. That's what comes in salvation if God saved them. And by this time, God has saved everyone that He intended to save. So if someone is one of God's elect, they will have a new soul. They will have a new heart. And in that new heart, they're going to have a desire to do the will of God that they've never had before. And included in that desire will be to come to Christ. And how do you or I or anyone come to Christ? Well, Jesus tells us one of his names is the Word. In John 1, he's the Word that was God. And then we read the Word was made flesh. So Jesus fully identifies with the Word of God, and the Bible is the Word of God. And so that's why an individual that has become saved has this, again, it will be irresistible, a desire to go to Christ and to do the will of God. And on both counts, the only way to go to Christ is to go to the Bible. And secondly, the only way to do the keep the commandments of God or do the Word of God is to read the Bible. So an individual, uh, well, first of all, to be saved, they would have had to have heard the Word. It wouldn't have taken much of the Bible, just a single verse or whatever, and God could have used that to save them. But then they'll be drawn by God to the Bible, to the Word, to Christ, and they will come. And don't worry about not understanding it. No one of themselves understands the Bible.
Right, but what if I don't comprehend? That is my problem
Well, yeah.
when I try to read the Bible.
Well, look at Matthew 13. Matthew 13, and it says that the disciples asked Jesus, "Why do you speak in parables?" And here's Jesus's answer in verse 11. He answered and said unto them, "Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given." So the disciples are really standing in place of all God's elect. And it's given to God's elect to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. To those that are not God's elect, it's not given. And what it's basically ears to hear that God gives the one that He saves. Not everyone is, studious. Not everyone it has the mind to really go through the Bible and look into all the deep hidden things. But, that's why God has given certain ones to teach and given them, time, ability, so they can find the information and teach others who maybe because of their jobs or various reasons they don't have the time or perhaps the ability, and so God typically raises up teachers, and then when they teach, much of the homework is done, although all teaching should be checked out. No one should be trusted today. No one should trust me or anybody today. If someone's teaching something, it's the responsibility of the one listening to check it out in the Bible. But the the way God has arranged his salvation program, I use this expression, it's foolproof, because if he has elected someone, he'll give that person ears to hear. It's like they're tuned in to Christ, or they're tuned in to the truth. When they hear the truth, they're going to know it. They're going to recognize it, like Jesus uses the analogy, the in John 10. I'll read it in John chapter 10, where we read in verse 2, but he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice. And he calleth his own sheep by name, and leadeth them out. And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. And a stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. Christ, God in salvation, gives us ears to hear, to discern. A wise man's heart discerneth time and judgment. We hear all kinds of people teaching the Bible, on the radio, on internet, in churches, just untold numbers of people teaching the Bible, and yet God will draw his people to the truth so they can hear the truth, and they'll know it. They'll know it. It'll have that distinct sound of truth. Truth, truth stands out, like a sore thumb in this world, because it's a world full of lies. And the people of the world cannot distinguish between the lie and the truth. They will believe the lie to be the truth. But again, it's given to the elect to know the mysteries, to know the sound of Christ's voice, and they may not be, again, the best Bible student, or maybe, they're just a limited. They work who knows how many hours a day, and they just don't have the time to get into it, or whatever reason. It is, as long as they're truly one of God's elect, God will handle. God will take care of, their understanding. He will give understanding to his people.